Behind every successful company is a deeply personal story of struggle and eventual triumph. But in the case of the Second Cup chain of coffee stores, that story packs a punch so powerful it can leave a room full of hundreds of people so deathly quiet you can hear a pin drop. I know. I've been in that room, seen it happen. Frank's story of battling back against all odds inspires audiences all over the world. An officer of the Order of Canada, Frank went from being homeless alcoholic on the streets of Toronto to successful entrepreneur, co-founder of the Second Cup chain of coffee stores, and an ambassador for many great non-profit causes. Frank O'Day serving up a second cup of hope on this edition of the Reinvention Chronicles.
I was self-destructing as I worked my way to Skid Row. I was just self-destructing. Thank God I changed at that one moment in time on December 23rd, 1971. I could see that I could go no further. It felt to me either I should die or change. And suicide was a constant thought.
Frank O'Day was a city boy born and raised in South Montreal who wound up taking the midnight train going nowhere. By the age of 13, he had discovered alcohol, and so much trouble ensued that by the age of 21, Frank's father had to pull him aside, look him in the eye, and say, for the good of the family, you have to go. Frank wound up in Toronto in the Bowery district, staying in 50-cent-a-night flop houses, panhandling for drinking money, just another streetlight person up and down the boulevard. Frank's life finally changed when he heard a radio commercial offering hope. And the tagline sounded something like, if you're having trouble with alcohol, call us. We're in the book.
Lots of people went by, nobody gave me a nickel, nobody gave me any money. Then suddenly this guy out of nowhere comes along and puts a dime in my hand and walks out of my life. In and out in a millisecond. And on that dime, I changed my life. I made a phone call, I never had another drink. Little does he know that act of kindness had such a huge impact on somebody else.
After making the decision to change, Frank's story of reinvention kicked into high gear when he co-founded the Second Cup. What began in 1975 as a kiosk in a Toronto shopping mall has grown to a chain of more than 350 stores. After Frank sold his interests, he founded ProShred Security, a franchise with operations in Canada, the United States, and Europe. He's a co-founder of Street Kids International, helping homeless children in third world nations, as well as the Canadian Landmine Foundation, which raises funds and awareness for the dismantling of minefields around the world. An officer of the Order of Canada since 2004. He's a professional speaker, a best-selling author, and I spoke one-on-one with Frank about his journey and the secret to his inspiring turnaround. Frank, you tell compelling stories about how dreams come true. In your estimation, your first-hand experiences, what is it that you think, key ingredients, if you will, that are essential to make any dream come true?
Gair, the first thing that's important to all of us is hope. Without hope, you can have no dreams, but dreams are simply that without action. So hope begins everything. And hope being the starting place, we need to find inside ourselves where that hope resides. And hope does reside in every one of us. And when fear takes over, as it always does for all humans, the thing to go and do and find inside where is the hope. Comes from gratitude, comes from a history, looking back over your life when things were difficult. How did you overcome them? It starts with hope.
Why do you think it's so hard for so many to find hope, to give themselves permission to hope?
To give themselves permission is a very good question, Gair. It is about permission because we tend to diminish the value. We need to understand that hope resides, as I said earlier, within ourselves. It's in all of us. We need to choose that rather than choosing fear. Fear is the thing that stops us from hope.
Frank, if you have one compelling credo, line, whatever it is that you live your life by, what would that be?
There, it's hope, vision, action. I keep doing that. I'm building houses in Brazil today. That didn't come out of some accident. It came out of hope, came out of creating a vision, and then taking the appropriate action. Do they connect immediately? No. It takes time for all of that to germinate, but it needs to start with hope, create a vision, and then take the action, and leave the results up to whatever higher power you believe in.
So here are some compelling questions to consider on the Reinvention Chronicles. Question number 1. When it comes to your life, your business, your career, your relationships, how often do you consciously give yourself permission to hope? And question number 2, what would happen if you did? In the case of Frank O'Day, the choice was clear-cut, change or die. But consider for a moment these Twitter-worthy takeaways. It's never too late to become who you were destined to be. And as Frank O'Day found out, the bigger the change, the bigger the opportunity for a second chance, a second cup of hope.
There were lots of times that people tried to help me, and I wasn't ready to be helped. And I'm sure there's lots of time that these kids are trying, that the message is given to these kids, and they're not ready yet. But who knows when they will be. So day after day, we need to keep the doors open. We need to be there for them. We need to be always attuned to their needs. Because every once in a while, a kid stands on the corner just like I did, just die or change. Die or change. And because the efforts of folks like these, people choose to live.
You know, there's never going to be a shortage of situations in our companies, our careers, our communities, any aspect of our lives that at one time or another will fall into the hopeless category. But when that happens and a situation is deemed hopeless, it would appear the only recourse is to change ourselves. So, which ideas resonated most with you today from the Reinvention Chronicles, and why? We certainly encourage you to contribute those ideas in the comments section, and feel free to share those thoughts, because some of the best ideas come from people just like you who are sharing their issues, their challenges, but also their breakthrough insights on this journey towards reinvention. It was Gandhi who said, "Be the change you want to see in the world," and certainly Frank O'Day serves as a shining example of the Mahatma's words. But more than anything, I think his story also reveals that hope never really abandons us. We tend to abandon it. So it's never too late for a second chance, never too late for a second cup of hope. Or as the guys in Journey like to say now that they're on tour through North America, don't stop believing. So thoughts to percolate on with your morning Java as you sit back and think about ways to recreate, reimaginate the business, the brand, the life, the career that you deserve.